So, Greg has brought the streets that we had in mind for this summer, and I want you to tell us as much as you can, Luke, about what's available for cities like us and how we might fit as a potential city to land one of these grants.
Okay. And there's a grant at the end of this month, what the Mayor's talking about, it's called the Rebuild Alabama Act grant. And it is a $250,000 maximum amount. And basically it really has no match, or it has as much match as you want it. You know, we've done a couple of these. One was with the city of Fayette, and Fayette's about the same size as y'all, but maybe a little smaller. But theirs was, they ended up paying about $100,000 on theirs, and for a total of about $350,000. It is, like I say, it's due at the end of the month, but it's one of the most simplest grant programs I've done. Whereas, a lot of these, you have to go jump through a lot of hoops. This is pretty much, you fill out the grant, tell the roads you want, and then, or we'll fill out the grant for you. You tell us the roads you want, and then if you get it, they send you the check, and you just got to make sure you pay the roads that they say that you said you're going to pave. If there happens to be money left over, then you put that on the other roads. But now, I'll tell you this, with a city of this size, city of the size of Hamilton, you probably want to, at least put a little bit of skin in the game. The more skin, the more money you're willing to put forward with it, the better off you are. So, and one of the things that I think that helps on this is if you try to do multiple roads and you do them kind of close to downtown. I know that anytime you're close to downtown, or it serves a lot of people, things like that they look at, and that's kind of what they like. So
these are pretty high traffic areas.
That's always good, high traffic, and like I say, if it connects, two state roads, that's always good. Not telling you that's what you have to do. I'm just telling you some of the things that they look at. And we were fortunate enough to get 2 of these last year. They're very highly competitive, but the good thing is if you don't get it this year, you just keep reapplying. Hopefully, sooner or later you'll get it. Now the other pot of money that is available is what Mayor Page got last year, and that's what we call the Director's Discretionary Fund. And basically, you like the mayor can tell you, just go in there and you sit down and you ask him for money, and he'll say, well, I'll give you this much, or I won't give you this much, and usually that's got a little bit higher match to it, and it's got a little bit more hoops to jump through. But I mean, that's also something that's out there that's available through ALDOT, and that's the two main grant programs that's available through ALDOT. Now there is another one called A-Trip 2, which the deadline for it just passed, but that program is simply for state routes. So it's say you've got an intersection or something you need improved in the city of Hamilton that's on a state route, you can get a grant through that, or whatever you want, but it's always got to be on a state route. And it's of course it has a lot. It's up to $2 million, but it has a lot more hoops to jump through as well on that. So.
I noticed Jasper and probably Winfield and 2 or 3 cities around us has been taking advantage of this money already. Mm-hmm. And Jasper seems to be doing a lot of paving through this program. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be good if we could get involved and try to get some of this money, even if we decide, and I think we will want to add some to it to do as much as we can. We may not be able to put that much money in, but some money.
And if I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but if y'all are interested, just let us know what roads you're interested in. We'll put together the grant. We don't charge anything unless you get money, and then if you do get the grant, then of course the engineering fees are not covered as part of the grant. That's something you have to pay separate, but they're usually around 10%.
What we're wanting to do is make sure that we meet all the qualifications. Any project needs engineering to make sure that there's not mistakes making. Right. I don't know how to check behind these pavers, and I don't think any one of us could run the job. So we'll need expertise, and that's why I wanted to call on you and your associates to be with us. And I enjoyed working with y'all on the last one. I know how
We did
much
too.
money you saved the city
I appreciate
by
it.
hard work and diligence. A lot of that could have cost us a lot more if you hadn't really stuck with us on that project.
I appreciate it.
If you guys haven't met Luke before, whatever he says, he backs up. And that's the kind of man I like to work with, and that's the way their firm is, and I found them that way. And from day one, that he came highly recommended by our county folks, and he certainly didn't let me down on the project I worked with him on. As a matter of fact, he was above his recommendation on everything. So
Thank you.
that's how I could recommend him to you guys.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
But if y'all have any questions of Luke today, just lay them out, guys. And as I say, we're shorthanded as far as having our whole group to listen to you, but these guys are good at passing on information, and I'll talk with the other guys too. And the entire council is new this year.
Okay.
We've got a lot of high energy here, and we're all ready to go. And I'm going to have a hard time keeping up. I'm the old man in the room every time we meet now, so but I'm going to do my best to keep up with these young bucks and run with them, you know.
Yes, sir.
That, the Steel Street, you know, it's gonna be on the striping list also. So
Yeah.
if we get it, we're gonna need to hold off on that.
Yeah, I was gonna mention maybe we'd want that section of Steel Street. We're doing some striping with our money that we got, the extra gas tax. The past council voted the first year's money would go towards striping roads or streets that don't have current striping.
Okay.
So if we are gonna get this grant, we'll hold off on striping that
Sure.
road.
There we go.
We don't wanna waste money.
Right.
But of course, about if we apply, how long will it be till we know if we get it?
January. Well, I say that. That's when we knew last year. It was January.
Okay,
So
okay, so we may have a little conflict in knowing what to do, whether it's to stripe or not to stripe.
yeah.
Can I ask a question? Y'all refer to that as the Rebuild Alabama grant.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that affiliated with our Rebuild Alabama gas tax
It
account
is.
that we have? Do we have to
No.
hold that in any certain way because of the grant, or?
No, it's you know, when they passed, they call it the Rebuild Alabama Act because now they're basically calling all these programs Rebuild Alabama because it's all funded for with this extra gas tax. But no, it is separate from your.
So that won't affect that money at all, because
No,
that's
ma'am.
what we were earmarking for the
No,
striping.
This is $10 million. Last year it was $10 million. I think this year's the same thing that they set aside for a pot for just cities and counties to apply for. And last year it was very heavily dominated by cities. I think that there may be a few counties get it, but very, very few because if you'll notice the city's gas tax are a lot slimmer than what the counties are getting. So.
Okay, thank you.
It's completely independent of your funding you've got on
Okay.
the gas tax.
That's right.
Thank you.
Good question, Angela. We don't want to cut off another source. But, yeah.
And
That's
usually,
a good thing. This girl counts every dollar every penny that we get, and she's good at it.
Treat it like it's mine. It stresses me out.
But that was a good question and a good answer. Now we know that we can draw from either.
Yes, sir.
Or both. Hopefully both. Would y'all want to authorize Luke, you think you'd want it on the agenda to bring up to a vote if we authorize him to pursue a grant for us based on the need and the fact that it's not really a match grant? Whatever we put in it, it will just be improving. That much more money will improve more roads. Than what he can get us is not a match, and most grants are match grants. So, would y'all want that on the agenda?
Yeah, I'm good with that, yes.
For at least for more discussion and then a vote. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good news.
When is the meeting, Mayor?
Pardon?
When's the meeting?
Monday night,
Monday, okay.
6 o'clock.
'Cause I think that what the deadline is at the last day of the month.
It's the 30th.
Thirty.
That's right.
That's why I really wanted you to, on short notice, wanted you to come on today. I thought the budget would dominate our discussion today, but since Alan couldn't be here and sick, then it opened up the door for us to have you here instead of the next work session.
And if it's okay, I'll go ahead and get you a rough estimate on these two roads. And-
Yeah, that's
Before
what
it's
we're gonna
coming
do
out.
is
Okay.
know about what you think that we could do with that kind of mileage.
Okay.
It's an overlay, and as I told you, these two roads don't have a lot of sidewalk and ADA compliant matters.
Okay.
This other work we did downtown, we had to spend a good deal of money getting the ADA stuff done where our sidewalks go off to the streets, so where a wheelchair could roll from one side to the other, or someone that's handicapped can cross. We don't have that on Steel Street, and I don't know. Do we have any sidewalk matters that are there by the Key Branch, do you
There's
think?
some there, but
They're probably already compliant, aren't they?
I believe they are. I was thinking, cause it's just a short section of it.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
on
only
the
place
road and
we'll be
everywhere
doing
the
the
other
sidewalks on that one, I believe.
Everything's, they'll be compliant.
We do have that sidewalk situation there at Key Branch, but
Okay.
I believe they're all compliant. It's a
Okay.
federal
We'll check it out.
site.
It's just for, it ain't a far distance.
Okay.
That costs a good deal of money for our downtown area that wasn't compliant.
Right.
There's parking in between the road and the sidewalks. So,
Okay.
I think,
Just parallel parking.
Okay. Well, this is good. We'll plan to go ahead and put this on the agenda for us to bring up for a vote
Okay.
then, and we'll try to get the message conveyed to all the other guys.
Okay.
We got one on the phone down there right now that's listening in. He's on a trip, but he wanted to be a part of the meeting today, so we've got him on board.
Ross, you got a question?
Yeah, his name's Luke. That was just talking to us, right? Make sure I heard.
Yes, sir.
Good. Hey, I was just quick. What's the time frame? Did I hear you correctly that these grants are due by 11:30? Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And as far as it goes, like, and Greg and you might both know this, like, time frame wise, assuming we get the grants, when's the time frame for these things to get going?
Last year we turned around as quick as possible. And they were paving in June. I think if that.
In June.
That's right.
Okay. All right, and these are both those grants are once a year, correct? We can apply for these just one time a year.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
All right, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ross.
Absolutely. Glad I can be with y'all. It's not over the phone, but yeah, you're right. I want to be a part of it.
We're probably gonna let these gentlemen, go ahead and adjourn if they want to. Greg Harris and Luke's, group. So we're gonna do this and let them dismiss, and then we got 5 other subjects so you stay on the phone with us, Ross.
Oh, I'm here until
Okay.
y'all adjourn.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate
I
it.
walked out with that.
Thank you for coming today.
You know what
Thank you.
roads
Thank you.
they're looking at?
Appreciate you coming down today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Steel,
Steel Street, Riverside.
This one,
just two? Is it-
Yes,
10 and 2.
about 2.5 miles.
The longer ones,
Doing it.
the longer ones. Or Steel's pretty long.
I think they were just talking about from Bexar to 17 on Steel Street. Is that right?
Steel Street was west in the JB restaurant.
We've got deterioration at the Captain A.J. Hamilton house between rodents and rot. We've got a good bit of problems with the house again, and inferior products seem to have been used on the porch area. It has rotten boards that are falling off the house, and the Historic Society meets there primarily, we don't have anyone occupying that building, so it doesn't do well sitting empty. We try to keep the plumbing from bursting in the winter by keeping some heat on, modest amount of heat, but enough to keep the pipes from busting. It looks like we're gonna have to spend some money on the house. How much money have we spent to date on the house since we've had it, Angela?
I don't have the actual year-to-date figures. The last time we figured this was through like January of 19. And at that time, it's it was probably around 180 something thousand that we spent on it.
And it's easy to spend 40, 50,000 on this house, and you barely know you spent the money. Every bit of it's work intensive, but it has to be scraped before it's painted. It has to have rotten boards replaced. The upstairs is totally off limits. We don't allow anyone to climb the stairs and go to the second floor anymore because of the fear of injury and what have you. The stairwell's not very, well, it's not substantial enough to carry very much weight. And if 2 or 3 people get on it, I'm afraid it might cave. And so it's restricted to 1 floor. It's historic. We hate to see historic sites disappear, but the house is going to be expensive for upkeep's sake. And if you guys want to go down and look at our house and see what we have and what we're faced with, I'd be glad to meet y'all down there at any given time that you'd want to meet, any afternoon at quitting time or whatever. If y'all want to just run down there for a quick look at it, I'll be glad to meet you. We do have a key to get in. We don't have a key.
No, we don't. We did. The pest control, they got the set of keys that we had. I think Andrea still has a set of keys to it.
Okay.
We'd have to get
Well,
it from her.
Andrea usually draws our improvement plans, so we'll try to get her and her key and you guys together anytime you want to go down and look at the house and see the problems with it, and get an estimate of how much money we could spend to fix it up. And
There hadn't been any updating on any plumbing or electrical on the inside, is that correct?
Yes, it's
Oh.
been completely redone. Now there's no bathrooms on the inside. They put those storage buildings and made restrooms out of them around back, but the wiring was completely redone.
Okay.
According to
It's
some of
been
these diggings.
new wallpaper put on the walls, and flooring has been changed out. It's got some furniture in it. It's got a cook stove, wood cook stove in the kitchen, and some other improvements inside. But since it's been fixed, there's been a few holes gnawed in the wall by either rats or squirrels. We're not sure exactly what all's been working on the wood, but it hasn't fared very well. And then the outside is weathered, and it has some boards falling off because of deterioration of the boards. So
Is that a
yes,
project that we are, looking to, be done with, at least in this administration, or are we just going to do a little bit here, do a little bit there, or is that how it's been the last administration? Just whatever money we have left over, it can go to fixing that up, or is this, is it something that's going to be done? I guess within the next 4 years, like be able to be.
we'll spend money every year on the house as long as we own it. There's no way to avoid maintenance on this type of structure. This past 4 years, we've spent some money. The years before this past administration, they spent a lot of money because it was in very poor shape. And we've actually, in this last administration spent some additional money, and it's ready for another load of money to be spent on it. So that's kind of where we are, and where we're headed is we'll continue to spend money as needed as long as we own the house. We'll never be able to get away from the expenses of this house.
Yeah.
Plus, we pay a gas bill and electric bill on it on a continuing basis, and we also keep it insured under our insurance umbrella, and it's used about twice a year at festival time. And of course, some of the festivals this year were canceled because of the COVID, so it's been sitting pretty much dormant for a year or so. I think that's why we need to just gather down there, Ross, and take a look at what we've got and what we're faced with as far as the house's future. And,
Yeah, I would absolutely love to go down.
I
Yeah.
would too.
Okay.
yeah, I think everybody is on board to go look at our problem that we have and see what we think might be the answer, if we can find an answer or a solution to this ongoing situation. Someone to occupy the building would be the ideal solution on a permanent basis, where we could keep the varmints scared out of it, and maybe get it ADA compliant completely. It likes a little bit being there at this time, but we need to work on that also. We do have $7,000 that was given to us in a historic grant that we haven't spent, so that's a little seed money to start working with that we haven't used yet, and we've got a deadline to get that used. I think early spring. If we haven't used it, we got to send it back. So that's something we got to look at also. So in the next couple of weeks, maybe we can get together one afternoon and take a look at this house, if that be in keeping with you guys' wishes.
Isn't there certain guidelines you have to follow every time you do something with that house being, because it's registered with the
Well,
Historical Society?
modernizing it is kind of out the window. Putting vinyl over the boards is probably would deteriorate from its historic value. Wood-looking vinyl would be the perfect solution to keep it from weathering, but
Right.
we have to maintain it as a wood house, I think.
That's what I thought. So everything you do is.
I mentioned to a lady not long ago who was saying it looks run down, we'd like to just vinyl it and stop all the painting and maintenance on the exterior walls, and she said that'd be a travesty, you know, to do something like that to a historic site like the Hamilton House. So my idea of wood-looking vinyls, I think that's off the table.
Hey, is there any additional grants that we can look into through the Historical Society to try to get some help on that? I might have just missed that if y'all already said something about it.
I'm sorry.
Is there any extra grants available that's been looked at into through the Historical Society on?
Well, I think you can get a certain amount of money possibly by applying. Maybe there's some available every year, but there's limited amounts. I mean, the $7,000 to them was a big gift to the city. So to look at sizable money, I don't think you can expect to get any sizable money year after year, but you might could apply for some every other year and get it, you know, $7,000 to $10,000, depending on what you're asking for or what your needs are. So there is some grant money available, but not nearly as much as it's going to take to pay the bills and keep the house up.
But we are allowed to use it.
Using the house would be the most practical thing to do. You know, getting it occupied and having somebody in there that would notice these things before they get in such bad shape. Just driving by the front of it, as we do every day, doesn't help with the upkeep. Somebody's got to stop and love that house to keep it in good shape. Well, that's just another project we got to look at, guys, and you know it's coming right down. It's staring us in the face right now. We got to do something, or we're losing ground fast if we don't stop the problems that's ongoing. In this, for the first 2 years of the 4-year administration that I've been in, I harped on ugly sites and littering over and over and over. I don't know how many times did I bring it up, Scott? About every other meeting.
Yep.
People rolling down their windows and throwing litter on our streets. We haven't fined very many people for littering, but our problem is not getting better. It's probably actually growing worse. Littering is a big problem in Hamilton. And abandoned properties and unkept properties are another matter. Cars being parked without proper fencing, as it's called for, and rules under the state rules for salvage yards and carpools like we're seeing. There's a lot of violations there, in my opinion. So we're going to have to get some kind of more stringent rules. We may have the ordinances in place. It may just be enforcement is where we're letting down. But littering is a huge problem in Hamilton, and ugly sites, unkept properties, and abandoned properties are big problems in Hamilton. To make the town look better, the way it should look, we're going to have to address these matters, and I just want y'all to be thinking on that. We're not going to dwell on it a lot today, but we do need to, as best we can, find solutions to these problems. It's just like this gentleman that sent me this report today. He has property over on this road, and there at the beginning of the road is all these cars being dumped and abandoned down there. I don't know what the property owners, why he's collecting so much of these cars that don't run, but I don't know if it's for scrap metal or if it's just he's got to have more cars. I don't know why these group of cars is being brought in there and abandoned just off 17 down here, but it's getting to be an eyesore, and it's building up. Almost daily you see more and more stuff being brought in there. It's grown pretty fast. I'm going to ask our policemen to go down there and see if it's in the city limits, and if it is, we're going to ask them to cease and desist on that. I don't know what it is, a salvage yard or just a place for them to collect cars to resell for scrap. I don't know what's going on there, but these places just create a more of a problem for us in our cleanup effort. We were going to have budget talks today with our accountant, but your budget has been prepared, and if you look at the revenues and expenses for the city and the water department, as proposed, without some hidden expenses that we haven't foreseen, both budgets are a little bit to the good. They're not deficit budgets this year. The last 2 years we've approved a deficit budget, and it's going to really be nice if we can approve a budget that's a little better than a break even. As you can see, the revenues projected are, for the city is about 8.1 million for 2021, and the expenses are projected at 7.2 million, and the revenues for the water department are 2.6, and the expenses 2.5. So the water department looks like is without some unexpected breakdowns and expensive repairs, a little better than break even. So That's refreshing to see that we're not gonna have to adopt a deficit budget as we did the last 2 years. If those numbers hold true, and we didn't project any income for the new business that's coming down on the interstate, so we don't know how that's gonna reflect in our this year's income. So we're certainly anxious about that and hoping that that'll really reflect. It'll enable us to talk about more road improvements and more things that the city needs if those numbers should come in favorable for us. So that's something that's a little bit in the unknown right now. Angela, what are our items that we'll be voting on in the Monday night agenda? If you'll just kind of quickly cover that. I don't have my agenda with me.
Okay, I've just kind of marked a few things down. Of course, we'd be approving the minutes from the organizational meeting, I believe,
Yeah.
for that one. I mailed out the holidays, the possible holidays for 21. Did y'all get those? To
Longevity.
approve them. We'll be doing those. Longevity pay will be on this one as well. I think I mailed that out, emailed it out to you also. The library agreement was in there for everybody to look over. That'll be in there.
That's our association with the regional, is that correct? Is that the
I believe-
association that we'll
I
have
believe
with
that's
the regional library? And the regional library is headed up in Winfield, Alabama. But to be a member of the regional library, which they kind of support us in some ways, they say they get our grant every year for our library and write it for us, and they I believe mail out some books to homebound people and help us get certain books that we need in the library. But they're kind of a support group for us. I guess they're somewhat viable, but in some instances you might say they're not a total necessity. But we pay $10,000 a year to be a part of that organization, and they say that's a charge on per capita population is the reason they've set it at $10,000. But on the other hand, no other library that I know of is really giving them cash. The county gives them a small amount of money, about a couple of $1,000s a year to supplement them, and we pay $10,000. Winfield gives them a place to house their library and pays their light bill. So that's the only contribution at Winfield. They don't put any cash money into this library, but we do. And Gewin has their library in the school, so they don't supplement the regional library, even though the regional library works with the Gewin library. So as far as I know, Hamilton's the only cash contributor to the regional library, and that's $10,000 a year for us to be a member. And for a small amount of service, and that's my estimation on it. But we've always, I guess, been a member. I don't know how many years. It was in place when I got here, and I'm sure Wade Williams will say the same about his administration. It was in place when he was here too, I think, and then before. So, but the county used to give them lots of money, $30,000–$40,000 a year. Now I think they're down to about $2,500 a year, and they've reduced the amount they give a lot over the years.
Are we going to be ready to vote on the budget Monday? Do you want me to put that
I
on
won't, I don't think we have any reason not to adopt this budget. It's a plus budget. The numbers are all spelled out. I can't see any reason that we shouldn't bring this up for a vote Monday night.
So we'll have it, and then we'll have a vote to pursue that grant from Rebuild Alabama.
Yeah,
Porter and Higginbotham.
yeah.
This will
That's
be
all I have. I'm sorry.
this will be the first time water department's been in the green in how many years?
We don't remember the last time.
Yeah.
Since before Rodney. He's been here a coon's age, so to speak. So I don't know. It's been many years since it's been on break even. And of course, we're looking currently at Mitchell Hill, we got high horsepower pumps running 24/7, never shut off. Our tanks don't get full in Weston because there's those pumps, the impellers are worn so badly that they don't push enough water to fill up our tanks. About 60 to 65% as full as we've had those tanks out in Weston in a long time. So we're going to have to spend major money on Mitchell Hill. I don't think it's in this budget. It may be, but I don't believe it is. So there'll be some expenses we've missed. We think we're on a break evens, but you know, we're currently improving some sewer line that's been backing up into Mr. Franklin's apartments because of grease. Rodney started his grease inspection, by the way, and so far so good. We are going to have a grease trap inspection going forward, and he just got started on that the last couple of weeks. And we had a residential area clogged with grease and was backing up in some lady's yard down there in the horseshoe circle by the mill pond. Residential grease. There's no commercial grease. It was enough grease to stop up the sewer line. It's come out of somebody's house, if you can imagine that. Pouring raw grease in residential section enough to clog up the drain. They had to take the motorized plunger, the air plunger, and clean that line out. And he said as soon as they blew it out, it sucked everything right out of there. But I mean, I just don't understand people putting grease, raw grease, in the sewer lines. It just don't work. It clogged every time, and it's going to cause problems. But we can't say this enough to people to quit putting grease in the sewer lines. It don't match with the sewer lines. The sewer lines aren't designed for that at all. So anyway, we're still spending money to try to improve our water and sewer, and we're working with a water treatment plant that's 26 years old, and our wastewater treatment is older than that. So there's a lot of maintenance and upkeep. So we hope we're on break even. By the numbers, we are. We'll see how it holds over the year. All right, we're down to miscellaneous. Was there any other items on the agenda for specifically? Angie?
No,
All
just
right.
those I mentioned.
Did y'all have anything, guys, that you want to throw on the table today for discussion today or future discussion? Anything?
Somebody in there, y'all can go ahead, y'all have one.
I'd like to sit down with each department, maybe come to a future work session and maybe give us an up-to-date what's going on in their department, you know, stuff that they need, you know, just since we're gonna work with each department,
Hear from them.
you know, that way we at least learn each department what's going
Great
on.
idea. That's a great idea. Yeah. We'll make that happen.
Okay.
We'll meet in the big room where every department head can come in at the same time and have a good exchange. We'll be in our chairs and listen to them together. And I think that'll give y'all a good feel for what happens in every department and what they face every day and what their needs are. And some of them have put their needs in this year's budget for equipment. The water department's asked for a small track hoe. It's a little smaller than the one that the street department got, but we've got that in the budget. That is in these numbers, I know for sure. And actually they've had a demonstration of one. The guy brought one up from Tuscaloosa and showed it to them and what it will do. And the reason they need a track hoe is there's places that a backhoe just tears people's yards to shreds. These rubber track hoes like they make now don't make near the mess, and they can do work that's unbelievable how they can place them and do work with them. And So we're not getting rid of our backhoe, but we do need a track hoe to supplement. They've got an old backhoe they're gonna keep and continue to work with it as they can, but they need a track hoe. We got this, we got a good side cutter on our street department's track hoe that we bought during this last couple of years, and the guys are just crazy about that machine that does such good work. And it helps us with our ditching and all the kinds of things that we couldn't do before, we can now do, including our side cutting, serious side cutting with that thing. It really does a good work. But yeah, that's a good idea, Scott, is bringing everybody into the room and hearing them out. Yeah, it may take us a little bit longer that day, but we can work that out too. Scott, you got anything you want to add today?
I'm just trying to be quiet.
Hey, you are quite nice. But we'll.
I think Ross had
Ross
something.
had
Ross, you got a question?
You still there, Ross?
Yeah, I was muted. I'm sorry. I'd like to know what the city and the Lamb Motors on the east side, Scott, you know about it. Tyler, you know about it. What is the agreement that we had with them, or is there agreement, or because I know the mayor's made references to, you know, a jump pile being out there. You know, like, is there what's the deal there? Was there an agreement that he would upkeep, or, you know, at least block, you know, all that from the road, or, you know, what's the deal out there?
Well, he operates a business. It's a very lucrative business. He pays lots of taxes. He works a lot of people. It's not pretty. It is a money-making concern, and we get a lot of money from Dwight through his operation. I don't know really how to make it beautiful. We might could improve the roadside by planting some trees or something, but the industrial board and a group met years ago and allowed him to come into the industrial park with his operation. Whether all the agreements have been lived up to, I really can't say. I was privileged to the first agreement, and I've asked for the minutes on those agreements. So far, I've not really been able to ascertain those and read them exactly what he agreed to. I think some of it was verbal and some of it was written down. So you've asked good questions, Ross, but I don't know all the answers. I do know that it's a big operation. He sells $4 or $5 million worth of cars a year. Besides the parts business is in, the wrecker business is in, so there's a lot of revenue derived and a lot of employment taxes are paid into the city. So when you look at the whole picture, it's a little prettier than just what you see when you drive by it. As far as whether he's lived up to every agreement that was made, I don't know. Of course, when I talked to him about the wrecker rotation and listened to his complaints, he says the city hasn't lived up to its end of the bargain on the wrecker rotation. That he gets all the bad wrecks and the ones that's off down a bluff about 40 feet or 50 and no insurance, and the other guys with wreckers get all the good jobs. So he don't like the dispatch at all, and he don't like the wrecker rotation, and he's let me know that several times. So he says the city hasn't lived up to its end of the bargain. So, you know, I guess every story has two sides, but at a glance, it's not a real pretty operation. There's a lot of vent fenders on those cars you see out there inside the fence, and he has moved a lot of his old salvage back down on 17 because he started a used parts place down there on 17. So it's probably in the best shape it's been in 3 or 4 years because of the stuff he's moved out of that pen, and so when we talk about the Dwight Lamb operation, Lamb Motors, and his entire operation, it's a big outfit.
Yes, sir.
So we'll talk more about that, and if there's any if any of you want to go over and speak to Dwight about the agreements he's got with the city, I'll ride over with you. I've been over there and talked to him a couple of times, and he's always cordial and willing to talk and discuss things. And he's a merchant like everybody else, and that's trying to make a living. And the business he's in just don't have many bows or ornaments on it. Most of them been knocked off. What else we got today, guys, ladies?
Just one other thing I heard today was Bevel State's got a new president.
You're right. I meant to mention that.
And I think it'd be good maybe to try to get him to come talk to us
Sure.
here in the near future. I think he takes office January the 1st.
Yeah.
So maybe we could get him to come and just
Yeah.
tell us about
He was superintendent of education somewhere in Walker County, I think, in the
Yes.
past. Maybe just leaving that job and coming on to Bevel now as the president. He's just been appointed by the, Mr. Jimmy Baker, the chancellor of the two-year colleges. Yeah, that's a good point. I noticed that. And they're asking for information from us, any kind of future planning that we've got for the city. They want to be on board with it. I heard from Tana Collins today, and she's asking me to send in all the information I've got on our strategic planning and how they might fit into it. So they're asking for our help, and that's good. That's refreshing. I'm glad to hear that.
Just think it'd be good to maybe get his, you know, what he thinks about the Hamilton campus, where he sees it fitting into the future and future plans for it.
Would you like to have him at a work session, or would you like to have him at a council meeting? I'll invite him either way.
I'm sure just whichever one we can get him to. I think the work session would be good.
Yeah. Give us a chance for more of a round table. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll make a point on that. We sure will. So the meeting after we have our discussion with our department heads, we'll try to book him next for that.
Okay.
Sure will. That's a good idea.
Any news on any of these new businesses? Is Love still on track to finish December?
We're not going to meet the December deadline at Love's. I understand it may be January. They pushed us back a month. They are installing the gas and diesel pumps right now, and continuing to pave down there for the truck bays. That area grows every day just about. And I noticed they began to put the insides in the stores and all that stuff. So it's moving forward, but it's just a big undertaking, and it's taking just a little longer than they thought. The road completion down there is taking place as we speak. 35's about to be paved and striped with the turn lane that goes in for the trucks to maneuver. One of our guys that's been in the trucking business talked to me while I was campaigning. He said, "You should have 4-laned that road instead of 3-laned it." He said, "You're going to be sorry that you didn't put a 4-lane there, because it takes more space than you think for those semis to come and go." And so I hope the turn lane's sufficient. I mean, it's been designed by an engineering firm, so we're hoping that it takes care of everybody. But he gave me fair warning. He said, "I've had experience with trucks for a long time, and I think you missed the boat not 4-laning the road." But I didn't get to be privileged to the design of the road. I'd love to have a 4-lane on 35. I'm up for it. They are really talking about widening the road coming on 43. The entire road is going to be a little bit wider on each side. The county's doing that project right away, and The surveying's already been done for that. They're gonna do it within the confines of the current right-of-ways without purchasing any new right-of-ways. So it'll be wider. It won't be a 4-lane, but it'll be a wider road. Oh, does anybody know what's going on? Scott asked me today, does anybody know what's going on between here and Gewin on the left side of the road before you get down to
Yeah.
the asphalt plant? There's a big area been graded off and there's heavy equipment sitting on the road bank there
Right by the lake, past the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
past the lake.
Just didn't know if it was something being built down there or if they're just clearing it.
Someone thought somebody was building something there, but the site's been cleaned off for several months. But I keep seeing that equipment sitting there. I thought it might just be someone that owns heavy equipment that needed a site to park it on. It's kind of out of sight. There's a little hedgerow between the road and, but if you look behind it, immediately behind it, it's a pretty big space been pushed off there and cleared. And there's a lot of heavy equipment, trucks, dozers, track hoes and things like that, trailers sitting back there. So we were wondering if it's something new being built that we inquiring minds want to know. Is that right, Scott? But if y'all hear of anything, I'll be inquiring now that he's brought the question up to see if there is something that we don't know about that's being built. It's always exciting when something new's coming to town. Our friends down at Domino's had a theft, 2 thefts as a matter of fact. The scaffolding was stole from where they're working on the building, plus a $9,000, $10,000 tandem axle trailer, dump trailer was stole from the site since they've been down there, and there's been some nails and tacks in the driveway. We don't know what's going on. Apparently there's someone's just, I don't know, somebody's got it in for the contractor, or I don't know what's going on, but I told Jimmy that's putting Domino's down there that that's so out of step for Hamilton, Alabama to have vandalism and theft at a job site like that. And we're trying to find that trailer, but the police haven't been able to get enough surveillance film from the bank or the hospital who wanted to pick up anybody hooking to it. But they had to cut chains loose from the trailer tongue and the axles and take the electric brake mechanism out so the trailer would maneuver without the brake system. It was, somebody knew how to take that out, and they threw it out in the grass. So they made a big effort to steal that trailer. I hated that because we don't like things like that to happen, especially at a job site where people are trying to improve property. I understand it's going to be a very nice store. I think Jimmy went ahead and bought the building instead of leased it. And so Domino's will be a permanent fixture in Hamilton, Alabama, and that's good.
Is there any updates on anything new downtown? I know there's a couple.
Napa's come to town.
Right.
That's a new parts business, and Napa's a real popular brand of parts. They make quality parts, and I understand that Mr. Crabtree maybe is the author. I don't know who's going to be running it. I think he's got more than one store, but he's putting the store in, as I understand it, has a hand in it. And I don't know a lot about it, but we're proud they came to town. And Pizza Bar is not Pizza Bar, but it's something that's moving forward and getting ready to open. It's right behind Coffee Buzz, and just across from Eddie Lyle, diagonally across, there's a new restaurant or cafeteria or coffee shop or something going right there. So there's several little new businesses coming to town, and we're real pleased to see them having confidence in our retail and our chances for them to make a go of it here in Hamilton. I've been in touch with Retail Strategies again. They wanted to come make another presentation to us, possibly in a few months, and see if they might fit our needs in any way. they have had a little change in management, upper management, and Scott Runcannon reached out to me about 2 weeks ago and let me know about the changes and the fact that they enjoyed working with Hamilton the year that they were employed by us, and wanted to see if we'd be interested in having them back. Retail business is a pretty tough business with all this online shopping going on, and folks not wanting to get in crowds and that kind of thing. So the fate of retail is kind of in the balances right now. We don't quite know what to expect going forward in the way of retail, but we hope our retail stays strong. So right now our numbers are looking pretty good, and we want our retail to be strong in Hamilton and people to shop in Hamilton all that they can. Christmas season's coming. We're going to have the Christmas tree lighting ceremonies out here on our grounds on the 23rd of November, 23rd of November, and we'll be doing that at 6 o'clock is our tentative time. That might be tweaked a little bit since it's getting dark so early. We might do it a little early, maybe 5:30, but probably 6 would be the time. We're probably not going to have a live presentation today. I got a chance to maybe get my hands on the big screen, and we're going to try to run it on a loop, project some music talent, maybe local talent that would be singing. And we're going to try to have elves out here, maybe 1 or 2 nights to hand out candy canes and possibly a Santa to wave at people that might want to drive by. And we even though the COVID's still here, we don't want to lose our Christmas theme. Our downtown Christmas is going to happen on Friday and Saturday, the weekend prior to us having our tree lighting on Monday night. So 21st, 20th, and 21st, I believe is the date on that. It's the downtown Christmas, and they're the chamber's putting a big effort in that, and the merchants, and they'll be open some extra hours for your shopping convenience. So those are some of the things that's upcoming right away, and we've had Veterans Day now, and the Thanksgiving holidays are just so close, and so everybody be thinking about that. And Monday night we'll try to get a lot of work done in our Monday night meeting, and we'll try to stick as much as we can to our agenda. Once we set an agenda, we like to pretty much follow it through. The times that we meet prior to these meetings, like today, we'll try to talk about things we want to put on the agenda, and then the things that we bring up in the meeting won't shock you or surprise you. We don't like surprises, because when you have to discuss something or meet on something, you want to be versed on it before it happens. Excuse me. I don't have anything else for today. It's about adjournment time. We're a little after 5, so we're going to try to start and end these meetings on time if we can. Today we had a little extra stuff, but we'll try to make them 1-hour meetings so that we basically cover our bases. If we have something special that we want to have, that if we know we're going to go over from the get-go, then we'll just announce that. If somebody needs to leave at 5, they can. But we'll either meet on Wednesday or Thursday. I don't want to tell y'all when to meet. I'm available anytime, so I want to make it where you guys can meet. And if you'll tell me what's good, then that's the date we'll make. I'd really like to keep it on Wednesday or Thursday. I could possibly do it on Tuesday evening, but it seems like Wednesday or Thursday gets us a little closer to our meeting date on Monday, and it'll be fresher on our minds. So that's kind of why I like to meet from middle to the last of the week. But I'm just here every day, so whenever y'all want to meet, let me know, and I'll set the meeting just to fit y'all. Thanks for coming. If there's nothing else, we'll be adjourned.
Scott, did you want to say anything about the,
We got the Toy Bowl semifinals this week in Hamilton, and we just would appreciate everybody from Hamilton come out and support these Aggies. They'll be wearing the Aggie uniforms on Friday night before too long, and I know the kids would really be excited to see that stadium packed and be loud and proud for them. So just wish everybody come out and support them. The game time's 7 o'clock this Saturday night.
Thanks, Scott.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/49 County News TV.